In this video, we will learn how to solve equations with fractions without finding the LCD. We might not always need to find the LCD if all the fractions have the same denominator or there is only one denominator. So we start the same. We're going to go through the steps. I see there is no parentheses, so step 1 is complete. And then I'm going to eliminate fractions. Now, because all the fractions have the same denominator, then that is my LCD. In this case, 5. They both have a 5. I don't have to go to a multiplication tables to find the LCD because 5 is the number that is going to help us eliminate the fraction. So I'm going to multiply each of the terms by 5. So we begin just as before. 5 times 2 is 10 divided by 5. That will be 2. Bring down the variable. And then 4 times 5 will be 20 divided by 5. That is 4. It's the same as just eliminating the 5s and getting back the 2s on the left side, and then eliminated 5s and getting back the 4s on the right side. So it's up to you how you want to remember them. We move on now. So since we've already eliminated the fractions, we're going to see if there's anything that we can combine, any like terms. Well, I only have a 2y on the left side. There's nothing else for me to combine on the left side. And I only have a 4 on the right side. So there's nothing for me to combine on the right side. I find the location of my variable and I notice that it is on the left side. Then the only operation that it has here is that 2. I didn't have to move the letters to one side because all my variables were already on the left. So all I have to undo is a multiplication by 2. So the way that we undo multiplication is by dividing. So I'm going to divide both sides of the equation by 2. Being very careful. Remember, 2 divided by 2 will be 1. So I have 1y. And on the right side, 4 divided by 2 will be 2. We do one more simplification. We know that 1 times y will just give us y equal to 2. And we found our solution. Let's try another one here. Now example 4 reads x divided by 4 minus x is equal to 0. Now notice how these x's, they don't have coefficients. They don't have a number in front of them. In the previous example, we simplified 1y into just y. So that means that 1 times y will give us y. The same can be said about going backwards. Y is the same as 1y. Now you might be asking, why is she saying that? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that process of simplification that we used before to rewrite my equation into one where the variables have a coefficient. So then this will become 1x over 4 minus 1x is equal to 0. Now you're asking, why is she doing that? The reason I'm doing that is because since I know that I'm going to have to be multiplying to eliminate my fractions, I'm going to put a number there to help me multiply. Now with time, you might not need to write that one if you don't want to, but for now, I'm going to write it down just to keep track. All right, so we notice that there is no parentheses, so I don't have to take care of that, but we do have a fraction. Now, the denominator that I have here is a 4, and that's the only denominator that I have. That means that I don't have to go to the times tables to find the LCD. That 4 is the LCD. That's the common denominator because that's the only denominator that is there. That means that I'm going to have to multiply each one of these terms by 4. So let's do that. Now, if we multiply as before, 4 times 1 is 4, divided by 4 is just 1x. Or remember that these two can get eliminated. Moving along, negative 1 or 1 times 4 will be 4. Bring down the variable and the minus. And then on the right side, 4 times 0 will just be 0. So I've eliminated the fractions. Now I'm going to see if I can combine like terms, and this time I can. On the left side, I do have like terms. They both have x's. So 1 minus 4, I subtract and keep the sign of the largest, so that will be negative 3. Bring down the variable, and on the right side, I have 0. So I've combined like terms. Then I look for my variable. Now all of my variables are already on the left. There are no variables on the right, so there's nothing for me to move, but there is a multiplication. There is an operation being applied. Remember, the opposite of multiplication is division, so I'm going to divide both sides by -3. I am undoing these operations. All right, carefully. -3 divided by -3, that's 1. X equals, on the right side, 0 divided by -3 will be 0. And don't forget, just as we used it before, 1x can be just written as x is equal to 0, and we found our solution. Let's try one last example for this method. The reason why I want to do this example is the following. You notice how on the left side we have 3m minus 1. We have two items, two terms in the numerator. However, both of these are over a single denominator. That means that the left side is a single term. So when I try to eliminate the fractions by multiplying by that denominator, I'm only going to multiply it once. I'm not going to multiply 3m and minus 1 as separate things. I'm going to multiply the whole left side as a single fraction. So let's begin. We start with the first step. There are no parentheses for me to take care of, but I do have to eliminate fractions. Since there is only one denominator, I'm going to multiply by that denominator. In this case, it will be 2. And I'm only going to multiply it once on the left side and on the right side, because remember, this whole thing is a single fraction. So what happens with this 2 and this 2 is they're going to get eliminated, remember. So I'm left with 3m minus 1 is equal to, and on the right side that is, say, 20. So I've eliminated the fractions. I'm going to see if I can combine like terms. I look at the left side. There are no like terms. One has a variable and the other one doesn't. And then I look at the right side and there is no like terms. There's only a 20. There's nothing for me to combine. So I am done with that. I'm going to move the letters to one side, but I notice that all my variables are already on the left side, so there's nothing for me to move. I just need to check which operations are being applied. In this case, I have subtraction and I have multiplication. Remember, we take care of addition and subtraction first. The way that we undo subtraction is by adding. So I'm going to add plus 1 to both sides. And I'm left with 3m. Remember, minus 1 plus 1, these are going to subtract and go to 0, equals to 20 plus 1 will be 21. Now don't forget, you still have to get rid of this multiplication. The way that we get rid of multiplication, or we undo multiplication, is by dividing. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Be very careful here. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Bring down the m, and on the right side, 21 divided by 3 is 7. We do our last simplification, which states that 1m is just m, so then our solution for this equation will be 7.
Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.